The late afternoon light rests gently on the surface of the sea, stretched wide and unhurried. The sun sits lower now, no longer commanding the sky, but sharing it. Its warmth softens everything it touches, and the world responds by slowing, as though it has been invited to rest. I stand on the deck of the ship, feeling the steady movement beneath my feet. The motion is calm and predictable, a rhythm that settles naturally into my body. The wooden planks are smooth from years of passage, warmed by the day, and now beginning to cool as evening approaches. I place my hands along the rail and let them remain there. The grain of the wood is familiar, shaped by time and salt and countless journeys. My fingers follow its lines without intention, simply noticing the texture, the quiet solidity beneath my touch. The sea mirrors the sky in gentle layers of color. Blue fades into gold, gold deepens toward amber, and amber softens into rose. Each small wave carries these colors forward, lifting them briefly before letting them dissolve again. Nothing lingers. Everything moves on easily. I breathe in the air, cooled slightly by distance and open water. There is a faint trace of salt and something warmer beneath it, a suggestion of land far ahead. With each breath, my shoulders relax, and the last traces of the day's effort release their hold. There is nothing I need to do here, no task to complete, no thought to resolve. The day is ending on its own, and I am free to end with it. The sails hang open and relaxed, responding to the breeze without strain. Ropes rest quietly along the deck, coiled with patience. Everything aboard the ship seems to understand that this is not a time for force. The sounds around me are soft and continuous. Wood shifts gently as the ship moves. Water brushes the hull with a low, steady murmur. Air passes through canvas in a quiet whisper. None of these sounds demand attention. Together they form a calm presence that fills the space. Odysseus stands nearby, gazing toward the horizon. His posture is easy, unguarded. The long years of wandering feel distant now, folded behind him like a story that has already found its ending. He says nothing, and nothing needs to be said. Time begins to loosen as the sun lowers further. Moments stretch and soften, blending gently into one another. My breathing slows naturally, aligning with the motion beneath me. Inhale feels cool and steady. Exhale feels warm and releasing. Thoughts drift through my mind without weight. I do not follow them or hold them. They appear briefly and then fade, leaving behind more space than before. Ahead, the shape of Ithaca rests against the sky, softened by distance and light. It does not call out. It waits quietly. I imagine hills cooling, olive trees standing still, stone paths growing calm as evening settles in. The ship continues forward at an unhurried pace. Each moment brings us closer, yet there is no sense of urgency. The journey itself feels complete in this gentle movement through light and air. As the sun nears the horizon, its glow spreads wider and thinner. The sea reflects it briefly, then deepens again, preparing for night. I shift my weight slightly and allow myself to be carried. The first star appears above us, faint and steady. It arrives without announcement, simply taking its place as the day makes room. I notice it without focusing, letting my gaze remain soft. The air cools further, brushing my skin with a calm touch. I draw my cloak closer, feeling its familiar weight settle around my shoulders. Warmth and coolness balance easily. Voices around me fade into quiet murmurs and then into silence. The crew moves with instinctive care, adjusting without words. Even the sea seems to soften, its surface smoothing as darkness approaches. I close my eyes briefly and listen. The ship breathes, the water breathes. I breathe with them, steady and calm. When I open my eyes again, the horizon has dimmed. Ithaca remains ahead, steady and quiet, feeling closer in presence than in distance. My body grows heavier in a comfortable way. Muscles loosen, breath deepens. The gentle rocking feels reassuring, like a cradle that knows its purpose. I allow my eyelids to grow heavy. Nothing will be missed, The evening holds everything it needs. The ship sails on, the sea carries us, and I remain here, quiet and at ease, drifting gently into the night. Night has settled more fully now, not as a sudden change, but as a deepening that feels natural and expected. Darkness does not replace the day so much as it receives it, folding the last warmth of light into a wider calm. The sea beneath the ship reflects this shift, its surface darker, smoother, moving with a patience that feels unbroken. I remain near the rail, my posture relaxed, my weight balanced without effort. The deck responds gently beneath me, transferring the motion of the water in slow, predictable waves. There is nothing abrupt here, nothing that asks my body to react. It simply follows. The air has cooled slightly, brushing my skin with a steady, even touch. Each breath feels clean and open. Inhale brings coolness and space. Exhale releases warmth back into the night. The exchange feels balanced, as though my body and the evening have found agreement. The sounds around me have softened further. The ship creaks now and then, a low and familiar sound that blends easily with the murmur of water along the hull. Canvas shifts quietly as the sails adjust themselves to the breeze. Nothing calls for attention, everything belongs. I lift my gaze toward the sky without focusing. Stars are scattered across the darkness, steady and calm, each one holding its place without crowding another. Their light feels distant yet present, cool yet reassuring. I do not search for patterns or meaning. I allow them to exist as they are. The sea answers the stars in fragments. Reflections appear briefly on the surface, then break apart and vanish as the ship moves on. No reflection lingers long enough to be held. There is comfort in watching them come and go so easily. My breathing continues to slow on its own. I am no longer aware of when I inhale or exhale. The rhythm feels continuous, smooth, as if it has been happening this way all along. With each breath, my body settles further into ease. Thoughts arise less frequently now. When one does appear, it feels distant and light, without urgency. It passes through gently, leaving behind more space than it occupied. I do not follow it. I do not need to. The ship glides forward without sound beyond the quiet conversation of wood and water. It feels less like traveling and more like floating within motion itself. The sea does not resist our presence. It carries us willingly, closing again behind us without trace. I become aware of how supported I feel, not only by the deck beneath my feet, but by the steadiness of the entire scene. Nothing here is uncertain. Nothing shifts suddenly. The night holds everything in a calm, predictable balance. A faint scent drifts through the air, subtle but unmistakable. It carries warmth and earth, hinting at land still beyond sight. The scent does not pull me forward. It settles quietly into awareness, like a reassurance rather than a signal. Odysseus remains nearby, though I do not turn to look. His presence is steady, familiar, and unremarkable in the best possible way. He feels like part of the ship itself now, as constant as the mast or the rail. Silence between us feels complete. Time continues to soften. Moments no longer separate themselves clearly. Instead, they blend together into a single, extended now. There is no sense of how long we have been sailing, and no need to know. The water moves in long, gentle motions beneath us. Waves lift and lower without breaking, overlapping quietly and smoothing themselves again. Watching this movement, I feel a similar rhythm settle within my chest. My shoulders drop further, my neck softens. Even my hands rest more loosely against the rail, fingers curved naturally, no longer holding. I realize that effort has quietly disappeared from my body. The stars seem brighter now, or perhaps my eyes have adjusted to the dark. Their light feels more present, though still distant, and I sense the vast space they occupy without feeling overwhelmed by it. The night air remains steady, neither cooling further nor warming. It rests at a perfect balance, brushing against my face and hands with a calm consistency. I breathe it in without thinking. The idea of Ithaca lingers ahead, but it no longer forms an image. It has become a feeling, soft and certain, existing without shape. Arrival feels inevitable in the gentlest sense, something that will happen without effort when the time is right. The ship continues forward at the same unhurried pace. There is no need to adjust course. The sea guides us easily, its surface smooth and accommodating. I feel my eyelids growing heavier, though I do not close them yet. I enjoy the sensation of remaining just awake enough to notice the night's stillness, the subtle motion, the quiet continuity. Sound fades even further now. The water's murmur lowers, the canvas barely whispers. Silence grows not empty, but full, rich with presence. I let my gaze soften completely, no longer tracking the stars or the horizon. The world becomes something I feel rather than see. Motion, temperature, balance. Rest settles deeper into my body, spreading slowly and evenly. There is nothing left to release, nothing left to prepare. The ship glides on. The sea remains steady, and I remain here, quiet and supported, drifting further into calm as the night continues to hold us. The night continues to hold us with a quiet steadiness, as though it has decided nothing more is required. Darkness feels complete now, not heavy or enclosing, but wide and open, stretching in every direction without boundary. The sea beneath the ship reflects this openness, its surface smooth and deep, moving in long, unhurried motions. I remain where I am, my body settled into the rhythm of the deck. The gentle sway no longer registers as movement I need to notice. It has become part of my balance, part of my breathing. Standing here feels effortless, as though the ship and I have learned how to support one another. The air carries a calm coolness that rests easily on my skin. It is neither sharp nor damp, but clean and even. Each breath feels full without being deep, slow without being controlled. My body seems to know exactly how much air it needs. Sound has grown minimal. The water brushes the hull with a soft, continuous murmur. Wood creaks occasionally, a low sound that blends naturally into the night. The sails whisper faintly as they adjust themselves, responding to the breeze with quiet cooperation. I lift my gaze briefly toward the sky. Stars remain scattered across the darkness, steady and patient. Their light feels settled now, no longer catching my attention individually, but forming a gentle backdrop to the night. I let my eyes drift away again without effort. The sea responds to that starlight in subtle ways. Reflections appear as faint glimmers that slide across the surface and vanish again. Watching them feels soothing, like observing thoughts that come and go without attachment. My breathing continues in its natural rhythm. I do not notice its beginning or its end. It flows continuously, like the movement of the water beneath us. With each breath, my body feels more at rest. Thoughts arise only occasionally now, and when they do, they feel distant and soft. They do not form clear sentences or images. They pass through like a gentle current, leaving behind quiet space. The ship moves forward with the same patient consistency. There is no change in speed, no adjustment that draws attention. Progress feels steady and inevitable, guided by the sea rather than forced upon it. I sense Odysseus nearby, though I do not look toward him. His presence remains calm and grounded, blending into the stillness around us. Silence between us feels natural, complete, and unbroken. Time has become difficult to measure. Moments do not stand apart from one another. Instead, they blend into a single continuous experience. There is no sense of waiting or anticipation. The night feels whole just as it is. A subtle change in the air reaches me, almost too faint to notice. The scent of land has grown slightly stronger, warmer, carrying hints of earth and vegetation. It does not signal arrival. It simply exists, adding another layer to the calm. The water beneath the ship feels different now, though still gentle. Its movement seems more contained, as though shaped by unseen contours below the surface. Waves shorten slightly, their rhythm tightening without losing ease. I feel no excitement at this change, only a deepening sense of reassurance. The journey continues to unfold exactly as it should, without effort or urgency. My shoulders rest fully now. no longer held up by habit. My neck feels loose. Even my hands have relaxed further, fingers resting easily wherever they have settled. The night air remains steady, brushing against my face and hands with the same quiet consistency. It feels comforting, familiar, as though it has always been this way. The idea of Ithaca lingers ahead as a soft presence rather than a destination. It feels closer now, not in distance but in feeling. Arrival no longer feels like an event that will happen. It feels like something that is already beginning. The ship glides onward, its course unchanged. The sea supports us with quiet confidence. Nothing needs to be adjusted. Nothing needs to be prepared. My eyelids grow heavier, not suddenly, but gradually, as though they are responding to the night's invitation. I let them lower part way, opening again easily whenever they wish. Vision softens, edges blur, the world becomes something I sense more than see: motion, temperature, balance, presence. Sound fades further still, the water's murmur lowers, the ship's movements grow quieter, silence deepens, not empty, but full and reassuring. Rest continues to spread through my body, slow and even. There is nothing left to release, nothing left to settle. Everything has already found its place. The ship sails on. The sea remains calm, and I remain here, carried gently forward, resting deeper within the quiet of the night. The night feels settled into its deepest calm, as though it has reached a place where nothing more needs to change. The darkness around us is even and smooth, not pressing inward, not pulling away, simply present. The sea reflects this steadiness, its surface moving with long, patient motions that seem to come from far below. I shift slightly, not because I need to, but because my body follows the rhythm beneath me without thought. The deck responds with the same gentle consistency it has shown all evening. There is no surprise in the movement. Everything feels expected, familiar, and safe. The air remains cool and balanced, resting lightly against my skin. Each breath feels easy, unmeasured, and complete. I do not notice where one breath ends and the next begins. They flow together, steady and quiet, like the water beneath the hull. Sound has thinned further, leaving only what is essential. The low murmur of the sea remains, steady and unbroken. Occasionally, the ship releases a soft creak as wood adjusts to motion, a sound that blends naturally into the night without interrupting it. I raise my eyes briefly toward the sky. The stars are still there, but they no longer feel distant. Their light seems softer now, less sharp, as though my awareness has shifted rather than the sky itself. I let my gaze drift downward again without effort. The water carries faint reflections that slide across its surface and fade. Watching them feels like watching the slow movement of thought just before sleep. Gentle, unfocused, unimportant. My body continues to settle. Muscles that once held tension by habit have released completely. My shoulders hang naturally. My neck feels loose. Even my jaw rests softly, no longer held in place by unconscious effort. I sense Odysseus nearby, still and grounded. His presence remains steady, unremarkable, and reassuring. He does not need to speak or move. The silence around him feels complete. Time has softened to the point of being almost absent. There is no sense of progression, no awareness of how long we have been sailing or how long remains. The night feels like a wide, continuous space where nothing is counted. A gentle change in the air reaches me again, subtle but noticeable. The scent of land is clearer now, warmer and fuller, carrying hints of earth, leaves, and distant stone. It does not hurry me. It settles quietly into awareness. The sea beneath us seems to respond to this change. Its movement grows slightly more contained, still calm but guided, as though shaped by unseen boundaries beneath the surface. The rhythm remains soothing and even. I feel no excitement or anticipation, Instead, a deeper calm spreads through me, as if arrival is not something that will happen later, but something that is already unfolding gently. My eyelids lower more often now, staying closed a little longer each time. When they open again, the world appears softer, edges blurred, shapes less defined. Vision no longer feels necessary. Sound fades further still. The water's murmur lowers into something almost felt rather than heard. The ship's movements quiet even more. Silence becomes rich and full. My breathing remains steady, slow, and natural. There is no need to guide it. It moves in its own time, perfectly matched to the night. Thoughts no longer form clearly. There are no images, no words, only a gentle awareness that drifts without direction. Nothing needs to be held. The deck beneath me feels like a steady extension of my body now, supporting without effort. I trust it completely. I trust the sea beneath it. I trust the night around us. The idea of Ithaca remains ahead as a quiet presence. It no longer feels separate from this moment. Home feels close, not in distance, but in feeling. The ship continues its calm glide. The sea carries us without resistance. I allow my eyes to close fully now, knowing that nothing requires my attention. The journey continues whether I am awake to notice it or not, and I rest deeply and comfortably, held within the steady calm of the night. The night continues without interruption, holding its shape and tone with quiet confidence. Nothing shifts suddenly. Nothing pulls attention away. The sea beneath the ship remains calm, its movement steady and predictable, as though it has settled into a rhythm that will not change. I am aware of my body only in the most distant way now. Weight feels evenly distributed, supported without effort. There is no strain in my legs, no tension in my back. Standing feels as natural as resting, as though the distinction between the two has softened. The air remains cool and balanced, brushing lightly against my face and hands. Each breath feels smooth and unforced. I do not guide it or deepen it. It moves exactly as it needs to, slow and even, in quiet agreement with the night. Sound has faded into something almost abstract. The sea's murmur is still present, but it no longer registers as noise. It feels more like a texture, a continuous background that supports everything else. The ship responds with the occasional creak, low and familiar, never sharp. I lift my gaze briefly, though my eyes do not focus. The sky feels vast but not distant. The stars seem less like points of light and more like a gentle presence spread across the darkness. I let my eyes close again easily. The water continues to carry faint reflections, though I sense them more than see them now. They appear and disappear without pattern or importance, like fleeting impressions that require no attention. My thoughts have thinned to the point of near absence. When something stirs in my mind, it dissolves before taking shape. There is no narrative, no memory, no anticipation, only a soft awareness that drifts without direction. Time feels almost completely dissolved. There is no sense of duration or sequence. The night does not feel long or short. It simply feels present, wide and continuous, holding everything gently in place. I sense Odysseus nearby, still and settled. His presence remains steady, blending seamlessly into the quiet around us. He feels less like a separate figure and more like part of the ship's balance, another constant within the calm. The scent of land lingers faintly in the air, warmer now than before. It carries hints of earth and leaves softened by distance. The scent does not draw me forward. It rests quietly in awareness, adding depth without urgency. The sea beneath us seems slightly more contained, though still smooth and gentle. Its movement feels guided, as if shaped by unseen contours beneath the surface. The rhythm remains soothing, unchanged in its effect. My eyelids remain closed now, opening only briefly and without intention. When they do open, the world appears dim and soft, edges barely defined. Sight no longer feels necessary. The deck beneath my feet feels steady and reliable. I trust it completely. I trust the sea beneath it. I trust the night that surrounds us. Nothing feels uncertain or unfinished. Breathing continues in its slow, even rhythm. Inhale and exhale blend together seamlessly. There is no pause, no effort, no need for awareness. The idea of Ithaca remains ahead, but it has lost all sense of distance. It feels close in the way rest feels close when the body is ready. Arrival no longer feels like an event. It feels like a continuation of what is already happening. The ship glides onward without change. The sea supports us without resistance. The night holds everything exactly as it is. I feel myself drifting deeper into stillness, not falling, not sinking, but gently settling, as though finding the most comfortable position within the moment. Nothing calls for my attention. Nothing waits to be resolved. And so I remain here, supported and calm, resting quietly as the journey continues through the night. The night holds steady as though it has decided to remain exactly as it is. Nothing urges it forward. Nothing pulls it back. The sea beneath the ship continues its slow, even motion, carrying us with a patience that feels endless. I am aware of my body only as a quiet presence now. There is no sense of effort in standing, no need to adjust my balance. The gentle sway has become a familiar companion, guiding me without asking anything in return. The air remains cool and smooth, brushing lightly against my skin. Each breath moves easily without intention or control. Inhale and exhale pass through me like a tide, steady and calm. Sound is minimal, reduced to what is necessary. The water's murmur continues as a soft, continuous tone. The ship answers with the occasional creak, low and reassuring, as wood responds naturally to motion. My eyes remain closed for longer stretches now. When they open briefly, the world appears dim and unfocused, shapes softened into suggestions rather than forms. Sight no longer feels important. The stars above are felt more than seen, their presence steady and distant. They do not draw attention, they simply remain constant and calm. Thoughts have nearly disappeared. There is no inner dialogue, no images forming. What remains is awareness without direction, a gentle sense of being held within the moment. Time feels absent now. There is no sense of how long we have been sailing or how much night remains. The experience exists without measure, wide and continuous. I sense Odysseus nearby, his presence unchanged. He feels as steady as the mast, as reliable as the deck beneath my feet. Silence between us feels complete. The scent of land lingers faintly, warmer and clearer than before. It rests quietly in awareness, adding depth without urgency or pull. The sea beneath us feels guided now, its movement subtly shaped, though still gentle. The rhythm remains soothing, unchanged in its effect. My shoulders are fully relaxed, my neck rests easily. Even my hands feel distant, fingers resting wherever they have settled without instruction. Breathing continues at its own pace, smooth and even. There is no pause between breaths, no effort to begin or end them. The idea of Ithaca remains ahead as a soft presence. It feels close in a way that does not require distance. Home feels like rest, waiting patiently. The ship glides onward unchanged. The night remains calm. The sea continues to carry us. I feel myself settling deeper, not moving toward anything, but becoming more still where I am. There is nothing left to attend to. And so I remain here, quiet and supported, drifting gently within the steady calm of the night. The night feels very still now, as though it has settled into its final shape. Nothing shifts, nothing changes. The sea continues its slow movement beneath the ship, steady and predictable, like a deep breath taken over and over again. I am barely aware of my body anymore. Weight feels evenly distributed, fully supported. There is no effort in standing, no distinction between holding myself upright and being held. The gentle sway beneath me has become something I no longer notice consciously. The air remains cool and smooth, resting lightly against my skin. Each breath arrives and leaves without my awareness. There is no beginning and no end to it, only a continuous flow that feels natural and complete. Sound has faded to almost nothing. The water's murmur is distant, more felt than heard. The ship's presence is quiet and reassuring, its movements subtle and familiar. My eyes remain closed now. There is no reason to open them. The darkness feels soft and welcoming, not empty, but full of calm presence. Thoughts have disappeared entirely. There are no images, no words, no direction. Awareness exists without content, drifting gently within the moment. Time no longer feels real. There is no sense of before or after. The night stretches wide and uninterrupted, holding everything in a single, continuous stillness. I sense Odysseus nearby only as a steady presence. He feels unchanged, grounded, and quiet. There is no separation between us, the ship, or the sea. The scent of land remains faint but warm, resting quietly in awareness. It no longer signals anything. It simply exists. The sea beneath us feels calm and contained, its movement smooth and even. There is no resistance, no disturbance, only steady motion. My shoulders rest fully, my neck is loose, my hands feel distant, fingers relaxed wherever they are. Breathing continues without awareness. The body knows what to do without instruction. The idea of Ithaca no longer forms even as a thought. Home has dissolved into rest itself, present and complete. The ship continues forward without change. The night remains quiet. The sea carries us. I feel myself resting deeply now, not drifting, not sinking, but simply being still within the moment. Nothing calls for attention. Nothing remains undone. And I rest, quietly and completely, held within the steady calm of the night. The night has grown so quiet that it feels almost motionless, though the sea continues to move beneath us. The movement is no longer something I sense directly. It has become part of the stillness itself, a calm presence that holds everything together. I remain where I am without effort or awareness. There is no sense of posture, no feeling of weight. The body rests within the moment, fully supported, asking nothing and needing nothing. The air rests softly around me, neither cool nor warm, simply present. Breathing happens somewhere beyond attention, smooth and uninterrupted. There is no awareness of rhythm, only the comfort of continuity. Sound has nearly vanished. The water no longer murmurs. The ship no longer creaks. Silence fills everything gently, not empty, but complete. My eyes remain closed, and even the idea of seeing has faded. Darkness feels soft and deep, like a familiar place that requires no exploration. There are no thoughts now, no images, no sense of direction or purpose. Awareness drifts without content, calm and unanchored. Time has dissolved entirely. There is no sense of night or journey, no awareness of movement forward. Everything exists in a single, extended stillness. The presence of Odysseus, the ship, and the sea has merged into one quiet whole. Nothing feels separate. Everything rests together. The faint scent of land has softened and blended into the air, no longer distinct. It no longer carries meaning or signal. It simply exists. The sea continues to carry us, though even that idea has lost definition. There is only the sense of being held, gently and completely. I feel no anticipation, no awareness of arrival. The idea of Ithaca has faded into rest itself, indistinguishable from the calm surrounding me. The body rests deeply now, beyond sensation, beyond effort. There is no need to move, no need to remain still. Everything has settled. And I rest, quietly and fully, within the deep, unbroken calm of the night. The night remains, calm and complete, with nothing left to unfold. Everything has found its place within the stillness. The sea continues beneath us, though its movement is no longer felt as motion, only as a quiet certainty that we are carried. There is no awareness of body now, no sense of position or balance. The idea of standing or resting has dissolved. The body simply exists within the calm, fully supported, fully at ease. Breathing continues somewhere beyond attention, smooth and uninterrupted. There is no need to notice it. It happens naturally, without beginning or end. Sound is absent. Silence fills everything gently, not as emptiness, but as fullness, without form. Nothing interrupts it. Nothing needs to. Thought has completely faded. There are no images, no memories, no expectations. Awareness remains without content, drifting softly without direction. Time no longer exists as a concept. There is no sense of before or after, no awareness of journey or arrival. Everything is contained within this single quiet moment. The ship, the sea, and the night are no longer separate. They rest together in a unified calm. Nothing stands apart. The idea of Ithaca has dissolved entirely. Home is no longer a place ahead, but a feeling that is already present, steady, and complete. Nothing more is required. Nothing waits to be finished. The sea continues to carry us, though even that idea has softened beyond definition. And I rest, deeply, completely,